Rob Kendall, my old mate, joins me. Are you in Germany, Rob?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Yeah,
it's sunny Germany.
That's where you live. You've been there. How long have you been there now?
Since 95. 1995. Yeah, came across fresh-faced and been here ever since.
We've not had a catch-up really since you started your new job with Sunpath. Tell me all about it.
So I think, as you know, before I was working in Bad Springer in Germany at a military drop zone, and it was closing down anyway. So the troops were withdrawing. So it was a limited position, but it was so much fun, and hopefully we get to have a little chat about that a little bit later on. But yeah, I had to look for something else, and I'd always heard about Sunpath, about the working environment. Yeah, the containers speak for themselves and the products that they have. But the working environment was just supposed to be one of the best in the industry. And I wanted to see if there was the opportunity to work there. And it just so happened, a bit of luck always helps, that a position had opened up, and I was able to join the team. I think, looking back now, I think that was 2017. I've not looked back since.
Brilliant. So what are you doing generally? Are you on the road, or what's your role?
It's hard to describe because, and you know this as well, within the industry, it's very rare that you just have one hat that you're wearing. And it has its advantages and drawbacks with anything else, but the main pull was to be able to get out on the road, to be able to go to drop zones, to be able to do the road tour. But it develops, you're not on the road all year round, or you don't have to be. And there's then looking after the dealers. So I started with just looking after the European dealers, and then sort of went from everything outside of the Americas and now worldwide. So the system for the ordering system, any problems that we have, it pretty much runs itself. But sometimes you do, you get an email from a dealer that just needs some explanation or something, a little help there to put the order through, and that's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
And then the road touring itself, that's fantastic. Gets me in touch with the skydivers, gets me jumping as well, because as you get in the office, it gets a little bit more difficult. So all round, I'm very lucky to be able to combine the office work and still be able to get out on the road and keep my ear to the ground, which is important, just to pick up on everything from the end user on what they want, what they'd like, what they love, and maybe what they would like to change. So pretty good. And
you're going to be at the skydiving symposium in Poland in March.
Yes, it's the first time that Sunpath is going. I think it's done the last few years, maybe not last year, but a few years before that. This is kind of a really nice place for people from all over, really, in Poland, but maybe some other countries as well, to get together, to share knowledge, to be able to sit down, ask questions. We have, over, I think, the last couple of years, really started using the online, the face-to-face, the video calls. But there's nothing like being there in person, and there's somebody just running over and saying, hey, I had this question. I haven't really wanted to put it down in an email, but I want to explain it to you. Can you give me an answer? And that's it. If we don't know the answer, obviously we'll find it out. But again, it's down to this interaction with the end user. So Poland, looking forward to it. Warsaw might even take a couple of days after the event, and have a walk around the city.
It's beautiful.
It's fantastic.
It really is. Beautiful place. So let's get back to the beginning. Where did you grow up, Rob? Where did you start your life?
And I'm sure we've talked to this at some point, but anybody that asks, the quick answer is, I'm a European. And that's because I was born in Holland, pretty much raised in Holland. My stepfather was English, so from a young age I wanted to join the British Army. So there, having grown up in Holland, then moving over to England, joining the British Army, with the army coming over to Germany, and sort of then turning around and saying, well, I've spent so much time in Germany, or most of my adult life in Germany. I pretty much know how it all works. In fact, to that sort of extent that the UK was a little foreign to me, you know, whereas here I knew where to go, what to do. Going over to the UK, which I love doing, but going over there, the system was a little bit foreign. So I decided to stay over in Germany, which was lucky for me. That's where I met the woman of my life, my wife, Micah, and I have everything that I would ever want over here in Germany. So yeah, it is a European, you know, kind of vibe to it. And again, yeah, a bit of a mixture from all around the globe is always good.
So when did you decide, when did parachuting come into your mind? Was it something from
You know,
a young age?
That's a good question. Now, I still remember being in the army. I just come back from a tour, from being away, and I remember walking into the office block, and there was a poster on an A4 size piece of paper. It says, "The Army Parachute Display Team needs you." And I went, you know what? That might be quite right. And then I said to myself, I had a couple of ambitions in life, you know, and at the time, some of them that were right at the top was to learn a new language, to skydive just once, you know, just to see what it was, and to play the saxophone. Now, I kind of got two of those down, you know, learned a new language and actually living in a new country in Germany. And then the skydiving, that it just took me from, you know, that one jump into nearly 20 years of being in the industry and seeing everything that it has to offer, not just the skydiving, but everything that comes with it, the community, the lifestyle, as it were. So yeah, I was very lucky. 2000, early 2000, over in Netheravon. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I did not want to get out of that plane. So we had a 2-week course, and there was static line, and there it was, you know, the training, and every day where we were supposed to jump, it was bad weather. And sort of sitting there, and I'm looking and I'm going, you know what, do you really want to do this? Do you have to prove this to yourself? And I thought, well, I'm there now, you know. So when it finally came to the last day, it looked like we weren't going to jump. And I was kind of relieved. I was like, oh, okay, you know what, maybe not a bad thing. And I think with like an hour to spare before the cutoff, they went, weather's good, let's go. Then I'm there going, right, okay, we can do this. And if I'm being honest, as the door opened of the little Norman Islander, and I had to move the door, there was a little part of me that said, you can just say no, you can just not do it. I jumped out. I don't remember doing my count. I can imagine that my canopy worked. I don't really remember that. I remember a bit of a hard landing, getting down, and then thinking to myself, you know what, done it, don't need to do anything else, I'm happy. Then got back in, and then they said, right, come on, if we can pack really quickly, we can do it again. And again. And it took me quite some time to get actually used to maybe the sensory overload, you know, to get used to it. And from there, because I decided, or because I was going there with the intention of joining a parachute display team, then it was kind of, right, okay, you're in it now. The organization had been done. I've been moving from my unit to a parachute training center in Germany, and then working there for the year. So doing the sweeping, doing the emptying the bins, the packing checks, anything that needed doing. And in return, the drop zone itself would train me up 200 jumps minimum, get my demo clearance. And this was kind of the turning point there, where, because you're immersed in it every day, you know, you're in there, and as soon as it's good weather, you're always on a load with the rest of the guys that are training. I finally got round to it, going, hey, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. And little did I know at that point that was exactly what was going to happen. But, that was, yeah, that's the condensed version.
The saxophone.
So you know what, I did get, my wife bought me some lessons a few years back, but that's still on the to-do list. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
No, it's good, man. It's good. Tell me about, I know it's very close to your heart, Bad Lippspringer. Tell me about Bad Lippspringer. I know you've had some amazing times there. What a drop.
You know, growing up or starting in my skydiving career, as it were, Badlip Springer was the first drop zone I'd ever really interacted with. Now in Netheravon is where I started, but doing one or two jumps there, it's a starting point, but it isn't what's close to the heart. I wish I was able to say my first jump was in Badlip Springer. That would kind of round it off. Badlip Springer was a British military drop zone in the heart of Germany. Basically, soldiers could come there on 2-week courses. They'd learn how to jump, more of it like an adventurous training. So some could go kayaking, sailing, rock climbing, or skydiving.
Yeah.
So here at this drop zone, this was going to be my home for the year. And again, as I mentioned, is kind of like a dog's body, getting everything. But the pay around or the turnaround was it that we'd get free jumps. Right. And they're, working through there, I think, or at least that's the fond memory I have, is it was one of the hottest summers that Germany had in a long time. So, shorts and t-shirts, instead of walking around in combat boots and trousers and shirts. So it started there. And then obviously being able to interact with all the courses coming in, and having a community that was there, that was quite small. We're talking about a drop zone that in the 2000s or between the 90s and the 2000s was doing more jumps, albeit static line, were doing more jumps than Empuria Brava was. Wow. So it really was the heart of skydiving insofar as, let's say, the jump numbers. Now, if we take that away, we take it from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, this was the drop zone in Europe. They had turbine aircraft, helicopters that would come in. And throughout my travels, you always, you get talking to somebody and they go, oh, so where do you jump? And I go, oh, you won't know. It's a small drop zone. And they go, in Germany, it's a military. They go, Badlip Springer. And you go, yeah. I said, of course, I've done about 80, 100 jumps there. So, round about this time period, it was the place to go. It had a really good bar, some tremendous stories, just fun. I remember it fondly. And then to finish up there, but still be living in the area, to be able to go back on the weekends and jump and have this crowd that was willing to help people, that were turning up. Everybody was received with open arms. And it was just one of these places where it was very difficult to find a drop zone like that, from my perspective, anywhere else in the world. And I've been lucky enough to travel to quite a few. Now, after leaving Badlip Springer and leaving the display team, I did a little bit more time in the army, decided to get out. There, a little bit of a sideline on there. So I'm out of the army. I'm decided to stay in Germany with my daughter. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what can I do? So I said, what can I do? And I thought about it and I said, let's start a window cleaning business. Yes. And I started a window cleaning business. I was doing all the military houses. And I remember, usually you could say, the summer months, autumn months, springtime is when you do the windows, but then what do you do for winter? Yeah. And I was kind of, well, I have to do that as well. So I remember being up a ladder in December with neoprene rubber gloves on, my bucket, which I had to put spirits in, like the spirits to keep the water from freezing. Yeah. That's how cold it was. And I'm up there and my telephone's going. And I'm going, right, okay, pick it up. And it was AirTech, the maker of the Cypress AED. Yeah. And they said, hey, Rob, and I'd met the boss at the drop zone. And from there, via a friend that was working there, he said, hey, Rob, do you want a job? And I says, well, I can't have one at the moment. He says, yes, but I'm just saying, do you want to, we have an opening here at AirTech. And I remember looking at the neoprene gloves, and the water that was starting to freeze over. And I said, when can I start?
Oh, yeah.
So again, we can talk about this for hours. And I don't want to get it all sort of tied up with that. But it's just, when I used to say, I still do, that my path has taken a lot of luck. But I started changing that perspective into saying, yes, luck is definitely involved, but so is hard work.
Yes.
Things don't just fall. Telephone calls don't just happen. No. You have to have that bit of work that comes with it. Yeah. So just to tie that up, because that's not where I wanted to go with this, but we might touch on it afterwards. I was very fortunate after working with AirTech for a number of years of getting another phone call and saying, hey, Rob, we need someone to run to DZO Bad Lip Springer. And of course, this for me was the pinnacle, you know, to be able to start being the guy at the bottom, doing the packing checks and the bin cleaning, to then come back as the drop zone manager, you know, sort of going the full cycle, as it were. And again, I think all in all, I think it was 1-2 years, I might have to check up on that, but 2, maybe 3 years. It was the highlight of everything I look back fondly, of being able to say to the, you know, at the drop zone where I started, to be able to come back and help run it was fantastic. And that is Bad Lip Springer. You know, it has a very special place in my heart. Just being that place, that atmosphere, that community, which has stuck with me. You know, when I now on other drop zones, I remember, I can recall some fond moments being at different drop zones, seeing somebody sort of hanging around, you know, maybe not that many jumps, and going up to say, hey, what are you doing? Well, I got no one to jump with me at the moment. Come on, let's go. You know, and I'm pretty sure that as a part of that community from Bad Lip Springer has developed that ability just to go up to someone and say, hey, you're on your own. Let's get in the plane. Let's go and have some fun. So again, I don't want to spend the whole Zoom call just me talking, because we can go on for hours. So what other questions? What else?
I was just remembering the first time I drove onto Bad Lip Springer with you, and you could see and feel the pride in your face and in your eyes. You know, it was very special to you, and it's important to give you an opportunity to talk about that as well. Yeah.
It's just, you know, when we go on there, so many stories. I do have one more, of course, and this might kind of just wrap that up a little bit. It would be impossible to try and condense Bad Lip Springer in such a short amount of time. But when we did have to close the place down, you know, that was also a very sad moment. But I do remember walking into what we used to call Tom's Cabin, which was the bar area. And then there on the bar, you had pictures from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s. You know, people would come before they left, they'd leave their mark on the bar, as it were. And I can just remember, before I closed the door for the last time, looking into this bar and just thinking to myself, these walls have so many stories, you know, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for everybody else, you know, that at their respective drop zones. But just being there and saying, these walls, you know, what's happened in here over the years, it's just fantastic, unbelievable.
It is good now with your work now with Sunpath and on the road. You know, you mentioned you're jumping, you're still out there. You know, you've actually increased your jumping with the professional side of it, with load organizing and putting the groups together. Tell me a bit about how you're getting along with that at the moment.
You know, the load organizing, it's wanting to see smiles on faces. That's the easy way to put it, you know. And again, from the starting of the load organizing, and to kind of tip my hat to you, because it was hanging around with you and traveling with you and seeing what you bring to a load organizing atmosphere, how you run, you know, how you do your jumps, how you picking up on your tips, you know, that's very much what I model myself on. And that is to turn up at an event or be asked to come to an event and load organize. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't really want to load organize the top tiers. Firstly, I'd have to be a little bit better, but you know, I don't want to be the one that's load organizing multi-plane formations with people that have a lot of experience. I really want to get down and dirty, maybe the right words for it is, with these ones that are up, the newer jumpers. I want to see them land, come back screaming, saying, I've never done that before. That was fantastic. I had so much fun. You know, I feel very, I feel a lot of pride when people come up and say, oh, you know, I couldn't find anybody to jump with, or, you know, to do this or grow into bigger sizes. And that's the reason why I love doing it. You know, it is. It's very, very difficult to put it into words of being invited to go somewhere. You know, you turn up, and then there are other load organizers, and arguably they're a lot better than I am. You know, they do what they do. They want to take some good jumpers and do some good formations, and fantastic. That we you know, of course, that's what a load organizer needs to do as well. But I want to be the guy that takes the rest. You know, the ones that are left over. I want to say, hey, what are we all doing? Yeah, but it might not. Hey, we don't know if it will work or it won't work. That's not the goal here. The idea is for you to come down whooping and saying that was freaking awesome. You know,
just don't land on my head.
Yeah. Well, one of the main reasons why I have a little zippier canopy, you know, is just to be able to get down and out of the way, move to the side, and watch everybody else coming in to make sure we're doing everything correctly.
I remember now. You do like to get down quick. I
do. I like to get down quick. So you know, it's fantastic. That's what keeps me jumping. I think that's actually a really good, you know, over the years and going up to a drop zone. It's being able to still have that laugh, have that fun. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. So, awesome.
You know, at the end of the day, as the sun starts to set and somebody comes up to you with a beer and says, "I've had the best day ever," you're never going to get that from somebody with 5,000 jumps. You know,
no. And you know, everybody does it. It's just that's my fun. That's why I want to do it. Brian Cummingen has been running an event in Claddaghby for a few years now, and his method of what he does is fantastic. He takes jumpers with lower amounts that are safe. You know, they've been in the tunnel, and he puts them into 2 skybands, 10 out of one skyband, 10 out of the other. And the idea is not to complete a point. That's the goal is to everybody be where they want, where they have to be, that they're in reaching, you know, of getting taking that grip, but not actually doing it. And these guys, they progress unbelievable, you know, throughout the week, but it's a no stress, no blame. Everybody comes down and they have smiles on their faces that you're saying, this is why we do it. This is why we do what we do.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Have you been across the Sunpath headquarters? I know you've been in the past, but have you been in the last, you know, do you go there regularly or once a year? Or?
You know, we try to do once a year at Sunpath HQ, just to be able to, again, you know, when we were speaking about having that interaction with the end user, you know, face to face. We can do a lot with Zoom calls, with emails, but there's nothing that comes with being at location, you know, seeing the staff, seeing everybody that works there, and being able to have a conversation with them face to face. Now, obviously, with the last 2 years being very difficult, I haven't managed to get across, but otherwise, the Christmas party is always a good time to go across. And Sunpath do an amazing Christmas party, and there to get across a couple of days before, you know, talks through, have some meetings, but at the same time being able to chat to everybody in a relaxed atmosphere and over 1 or 2 drinks is fantastic. But otherwise, we have some events over here in Europe, the BPA AGM, for example. You know, where then some staff will come over or Pat will come over, and then we get to have a bit of a catch up there as well.
Yes.
It's hopefully the travel will ease, you know, around the world, and then we'll be able to go across.
Just remembering one AGM, Pat actually got me home.
Yes,
the one in Blackpool. I won't tell too many details, but I was stranded without all the clothes I arrived with, and. She drove me to my sister's house in Manchester.
The BPA AGM has that effect on a lot of us.
In fact, it's the British Skydiving Symposium now, isn't it?
Sorry, yes, it is. Yeah. I as I get older, I get stuck in my ways a little bit more. Too. I know it as the BPA AGM, but it's not anymore. It's the British Skydiving Symposium.
What we got going on, Rob? Apart from your work, you know, I know you're always active in many other things. What's going on in your life, you know, personally? What you?
You know, this year or the last year, we had a big upheaval with the normal run of things, and you know yourself, you know, when it comes to the summer months, it's always a very busy time. You know, that's where I do most of my traveling. Spring, summer, even heading out into autumn, and then the winter time is my downtime. You know, this is also holiday time. I love the mountains. So whether it be Austria or even north of Italy, as soon as there's snow there, then I'm out, either skiing or snowboarding, or even enjoying the mountains and what it has to offer. My wife and I brought a camper van.
Nice.
Not too long ago, so there as well, you know, we're on there on the weekends that we are here, and even just an hour away from us, we have some smaller mountains that we can go e-biking or mountain biking, canoeing, via Marata. So, you know, if I'm not stuck in the office, then I'm outside trying to enjoy what outside has to offer.
How many bikes have you got?
What the e-bikes?
How many you got your mountain bikes, e-bikes? Have you got a good collection?
Yes, just the two. So when I'm feeling lazy, it's the e-bike. When I'm feeling adventurous, then it's the mountain bike. But usually about halfway around a tour, I'm kicking myself for not taking the e-bike. But
I want an e-bike next time. I've not discussed it with Leash yet, but I do want to get one.
You know what? We have when you're on your way, e-bikes have definitely, especially the mountain bikes, have definitely gained more support over the years. But it used to be well, look at that lazy guy where on the e-bike. The difference is, you know, we get to do some big mountains and still be able to stand up at the end of the day. So it has its advantages for sure.
And a bit of paragliding on the horizon coming, or what?
Yes, you know this. It's you know this as well, and I'm sure a lot of other people are probably in the same situation. Is that 20 years now? Well, coming on to 22 years now, skydiving has been every weekend, every holiday, every spare minute, and again for people that do the jobs that we do, you know, even the work through Monday to Friday has been skydiving as well. The last year has shown that there is some other stuff that we can do.
Yes.
You know, and being so immersed in this skydiving, which I wouldn't change for the world, the last year has shown that we could do some other stuff, hence the mountain biking or you know, the canoeing. We have so much other activities that we could do as well. And the paragliding was something that, you know, we saw somewhere, and we said, you know what, why don't we give that a go? And then we started to ask ourselves, well, why have we not done this before?
Yeah.
And it's difficult, and it's always been difficult to explain to non-skydivers, you know, friends of ours, and they're going, well, what are you doing next weekend skydiving? So what about the weekend after skydiving? You know, to put that across. And now, you know, it might still be air related, but paragliding is definitely on the cards as soon as it gets a little bit warmer.
Have you done your course? Have you done your first?
No. So we were actually last week for Christmas holidays. My wife, my daughter, and I, we were in Madeira, and there they had paragliding, you know, as a tandem. And although we said we wanted to do it last year, it was kind of just didn't fit. So I let them both, you know, do the paragliding. I watched and took video and took the pictures like the good dad husband that I am. And it only reinforced the fact that when Micah and Emily got down, that they said, "Oh, we're definitely doing this next year," you know. And so we're looking forward to it. You know, there are a few places around here where we can do the courses, and we just have to find time in the calendar to be able to do it. But it's definitely on the list.
Good stuff. Well, I think that's kind of took us to about the limit of the time. It's been a great catch up with you, Rob. Little
you know, Regan, it always is nice to catch up. You know, we just find ourselves different parts of the globe, and at some point we just have to see if we can make it to the same place, you know, and then be able to have a good old natter.
There's a slim chance I might get to that symposium in Poland, but it's not guaranteed. We're kind of working on it right now. But I must say, every time I see your face, every time I see you, I always remember being bit by a camel.
You know what? I do remember that I made a video because it was happening. I could see it was happening. And every time now and again when I think about it, it has me in stitches. And if anybody asks me, I say, Unfortunately, you had to be there. You had to be there to
Don't
be
approach
able
it,
to.
Regan. Don't approach it. It's fine. It's fine. It's tame. It'll
going to
bite you.
bite
It
you.
won't bite me. It'll bite you. It won't bite me. It'll bite you. It won't. Oh, it bit me.
And instead of helping, I made sure I had the camera on. In between my bursts of laughter and my abs not wanting to move, I'm not being able to move anymore. And then I think I was saying, "Are you okay?" But I was filming, you know, it was the way it was.
Well,
Good
it's been
times.
fantastic, man. You take care, buddy, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, Regan, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.